Whoa, I love this game. Why don't you? Oh, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Now I see why. Now I see why. But that's the thing. You don't like the WNBA or think it's a successful league because you're watching all wrong. Well, to be fair, at first when the WNBA came into existence, we were all watching it correctly, as we were for the most part, be entertained. I mean, the league jumped off from the heels of the popularity of women's college basketball to the 1996 Olympics, where the women players from America they just killed it. And then the league was ready for an inauguration season in 1997. And like I said, it started out relatively well. The stars were promoted respectively from Cheryl Swoops to Lisa Leslie to Cynthia Cooper and so on. And honestly, I admit, at one time, I would go to a few WNBA games. Mainly because it was cheap. It was a cheap date. I mean, why take a girl to a NBA game and spend over $200 to sit in a lower bowl when I could spend like $50 and sit behind a bench at a WNBA game? I mean, come on now. Plus, in fairness, the interaction during the timeouts and halftime were pretty entertaining. I have to admit to that. Then the league started losing ground, I say around the early 2000s, like around 2003, because the league was not growing at the rate the NBA expected it to. It was around this time when the NBA sold the teams to the league they had owned to various NBA cities. These caused two teams to fold, bringing the total teams in the league from 16, I believe, to 14. Now, unlike the ABL, another women's league that went under in like 3 years, the WNBA was held up by subsidies from the NBA. So around this time, when the league should have went under, there was constant movement of teams to different cities and some folding to now that we're in 2023, we have 12 teams. And the league has yet to make a profit. And people keep asking, why the WNBA still in business? Duh, the league is not about basketball.
This week, former Lynx player Candace Wiggins took a shot. This one not aimed at the hoop, but the whole league. In a candid interview with the San Diego Union Tribune, Wiggins, who retired last March after 8 seasons in the WNBA, said she was bullied throughout her career, essentially for being straight. Quote, I would say 98% of the women in the WNBA are gay women. It was a conformist type of place. There was a whole different set of rules they could apply, end quote. She goes on to say, quote, people were deliberately trying to hurt me all the time. I had never been called the B word so many times in my life than I was in my rookie season. I'd never been thrown to the ground so much. The message was, we want you to know we don't like you, end quote.
That was a story about former WNBA player Candace Wiggins expressing her frustration and grievances while playing in the WNBA from 2008 to 2015. She's stating that, she was bullied a lot for being openly and proudly heterosexual. The media wouldn't directly address her issues, They would just say, they respect her feelings, but basically they would just ignore her sentiment by placing as a one-off. And the story eventually died. And like I said earlier, I've been to a few WNBA games. And to me as a man, I didn't notice this, or at least pick up on it early. But I do remember this one time I took a chick there to a game, and afterwards she asked me not to bring her to one of those games again. And when I asked her why, she just said she felt uncomfortable. I mean, she didn't explain it, and I didn't press on it. So be as it may, that was her feelings. So we know the WNBA attracts the lesbian lifestyle. Let's be real about it. And another thing it does attract is activism. I mean, pretty much anytime there is some form of perceived injustice that's advocated by Black Lives Matter, the WNBA gets way behind it. Like when Jacob Blake was shot in 2000, and the league postponed the games, or when Sandra Bland had been killed. And of course, the various forms of advocacy they have for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor.
After speaking with representatives from teams playing tonight, as well as our WNBA leadership, the consensus is to not play in tonight's slate of games and to kneel, lock arms, and raise fists during the national anthem. We stand in solidarity with our brothers in the NBA and will continue this conversation with our brothers and sisters across all leagues and look to take collective action. This is the reason for the 2020 season. It is in our DNA. We have been saying her name. We are lifting the names of Black and brown women whose murders have been forgotten. We will continue to use our platform to speak of these injustices that are still happening and demand action for change. Black Lives Matter, say her name. Say his name.
It's funny, BLM was started by 3 lesbians, and one of their main supporters is a league with a lot of lesbians playing in it. Just an observation. And another reason the WNBA is in business is to further push feminist ideas. I mean, we all know why men get paid way more than women. I mean, it's just basic math a 3rd grader can understand. So when these idiotic statements come up, when these women are saying not being paid more or just as equal as a man, when your league is subsidized, it's just to garner more attention to debunk statements like the whole gender wage gap and how equality and equity is imbalanced and is due to the patriarchy. I mean, in 2015, the NBA, in conjunction with Sheryl Sandberg, the former COO of Facebook, they partnered to form the Lean In Together campaign, where NBA players and its affiliates are to advocate for women empowerment. And a big way the NBA does this is where else? Through the WNBA.
Lean In Together is about what we can all do
to help the women in our lives.
And men have an important role to play.
Lean In Together is about helping men understand that equality is not just for women, it benefits them. When men are active fathers, their kids are happier, healthier, more successful. When men are active partners at home, they have stronger marriages, more sex. When men are good to women in the workplace, no, it's true.
It's ESPN.
Stronger marriages, I think people care about that, even on ESPN.
They do care.
And when men are actively supporting women in the workplace, they outperform their peers. So Lean In Together is about what men can do and why they should do it for equality.
So from feminism to activism to socialism to lesbianism is what this league is all about. And the next ism is transgenderism. Because Joanna, man, he's coming soon. Trust. And that's why the WNBA does not need to turn a profit. It's a charitable league for a woke agenda and liberal ideologies. And China knows this. I mean, the NBA knows this. And like I said, this transgender movement, it will infiltrate this league soon, as is the 5th wave of feminism. And I discuss it here. I mean, think about it. Feminism went from empowering women to now empowering men. Ain't that a bitch?